I could barely manage the steps when I climbed down from the army shuttle. By nightfall, my husband had called me a burden. My mother-in-law had carried my suitcase to the door, and my 10-year-old daughter and I were driving through a Kentucky thunderstorm. My name is Mara Whitaker. I was 46 and had spent 22 years in Army logistics. Before retirement, a transport truck overturned on a flooded road in Kuwait. I survived, but nerve damage left me with a limp. Daniel barely looked up when I entered our Lexington house. "You're home," he said. My daughter, Sophie, ran into my arms. Behind her hung a crooked paper banner. "Welcome home, Mom." It was the only warmth there. Patricia watched me from the kitchen table. "So this is how you came back?" "The doctors expect improvement," I said. She shrugged. After Sophie went upstairs, Daniel said, "I can't do this anymore." I stared at him. "Do what?" "Spend my life taking care of someone." Before I could answer, Patricia appeared with my suitcase. Daniel had already emptied our joint account. 20 minutes later, Sophie and I were gone. I drove east toward the farmhouse my father had left me 18 years earlier. I paid the taxes but never returned. Near 2 a.m, I turned onto the gravel lane and saw a porch light glowing. An elderly man stepped outside, leaning on a cane. Eli Mercer had been my father's closest friend. "I wondered when life would bring you back," he said. He handed me a worn envelope in my father's handwriting. "For Mara, when she comes home." Inside the farmhouse, after Sophie fell asleep under my mother's quilt, I opened the letter. "My dear Mara, if you are reading this, something has gone terribly wrong." My father explained that Daniel had visited him before our wedding, asking about the land, savings, insurance, and mineral rights. Dad had hoped he was merely immature, but he had created a trust protecting the farmhouse, 38 acres, investments, and every future inheritance from Daniel. Eli then opened a wooden chest filled with my father's journals. I read until dawn. The entries showed years of loans to Daniel, most unpaid, hidden from me. One sentence broke me. "If she ever returns alone, I will know I was right to prepare." For years I had believed my injury destroyed my marriage. The journals revealed the truth. Daniel had not abandoned me because I was wounded. He had abandoned me because he thought I had stopped being useful. The following week, Samuel Price confirmed the trust was valid. He also showed me a notarized waiver Daniel signed 15 years earlier, acknowledging he had no claim to my father's estate. "He knew," I whispered. "He knew everything," Samuel said. I began repairing the farmhouse one board at a time. Eli gathered veterans and neighbors who replaced the roof, fixed the porch and fences. Sophie started smiling again. I took part-time inventory work at a hardware store and learned to move through pain without apologizing. A month later, Daniel arrived with gifts and rehearsed regret. Patricia followed, insisting families forgive. "We can sell this place and start over," Daniel said. Sophie stood beside me and asked, "If you loved us, why did you leave us in the rain?" Neither answered. I told Daniel counseling might help him, but our marriage was over. 3 days later, he sued, claiming I had manipulated my father into changing his estate plan. The hearing took place in Winchester. I wore my Navy retirement suit. Eli, our neighbors, and half the local veterans post filled the benches behind me. Daniel's lawyer described my father as confused and weak. Samuel answered with evidence: the trust, property records, journals, bank transfers, handwritten loan receipts, and Daniel's signed waiver. Eli testified that my father had entrusted him with the envelope shortly before dying. When Daniel's attorney questioned his memory, Eli smiled. "I forget my keys," he said. "I do not forget promises." The judge studied the waiver, then the loans Daniel had accepted while pretending my father lacked judgment. "The trust is valid," she ruled. "The waiver is valid. This case is dismissed with prejudice." Outside, a reporter asked for comment. I looked at Daniel leaving with Patricia and felt no triumph, only relief. By spring, the farmhouse had fresh paint, a repaired porch, and crooked vegetable rows Sophie swore Grandpa would have fixed. I began restoring old furniture in the barn, discovering satisfaction in saving things that deserved another chance. Not everything broken does. One evening, Sophie and I placed flowers on my father's grave. She asked whether he had known he would still be protecting us. I touched his name carved in stone. He knew love could outlive him, I said. Walking home, I understood that he had not saved me with property or money. He had saved me with truth. Because of him, I stopped begging for love from people who valued only what they could take, and I finally built a secure life no one could throw into the rain.